A new CBS News poll shows that support for the president's health care plan has hit an all-time low. Just 31% of Americans are in favor of it. But do Republicans have any better ideas on how to fix health care? Joining me now, Minnesota Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann. Please make her welcome.
Hi, Governor.
Congresswoman, it's so nice to have you here.
With you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Good
you
to see you.
coming.
Thank you.
You've got a lot of fans in this audience.
Well, that's because they're the finest audience in America, don't you think?
Yes. Yes, I do think that. Congresswoman, you heard Tina and Betty just talk about the challenges they're facing. Both of them had been insured. They thought everything's fine. Obamacare is not helping them. It's hurting them. Are there stories, the kind of stories that you're hearing, and how can you help ladies like Betty and Tina?
You're asking exactly the right question. First of all, yes, we literally get hundreds of phone calls and emails, letters, texts from people in my district every day. I'm not the only one. All the other members of Congress are hearing the exact same thing. It's very reflective of what we're hearing. It's unbelievable, as a matter of fact. Not only small businesses, but individuals, they're seeing doubling, tripling, quadrupling of the premium. And they're seeing their deductibles. This is the big unknown story. The deductible, the first amount that you have to pay before you get $1 of insurance, some of these deductibles, Governor, are going up to $13,000 a year. It's like people are saying, why bother buy a health insurance policy?
You're self-insured at that point.
You're self-insured at that point. And this is happening across America, and the worst hasn't happened. We're about to see the small businesses that, like you just saw with both of your guests, small businesses are getting hit next. That's the next tsunami. And it could be as many as 50 to 100 million Americans could be impacted by cancellations. So that we're only just beginning cancellations of policies, but then people will find out that their doctors aren't available. Then they're getting the sticker shock on what they're expected to pay. I think we're going to see far fewer people sign up for Obamacare than the administration ever thought. People are just going to say no. They're just going to say no.
Earlier this week, you said that you and some of your colleagues are actually looking at the possibility of suing the president and saying, Mr. President, you can't just extend these rules or change them around without legislation. How would you go about in a lawsuit? What could you do that would challenge what seems to many of us to be this amazing magic wand he seems to believe he has?
Yeah, because the president is not a king. He is not above the law. That's the point. We aren't above the law. He's not above the law. And people all across America, Governor, have been saying, when are you in Congress going to stand up and do something about this? He can't have a magic wand, as you say. And so one of our members, Ron DeSantis, this week is filing a resolution. So that's legislatively to try and get something like that through. But another avenue is through a lawsuit to enjoin or stop the president, because he doesn't have the right to rule by press conference. Today, it's by tweet, it's by press conference, and he thinks if he says it, it's law. That it doesn't work that way. That the Constitution's about limiting. He doesn't have unlimited power. I know it's a news flash, but the president doesn't have unlimited power.
You know, I'm also concerned that the president keeps saying, but the Republicans don't have any ideas. I'm the only one with an idea. Now, I know that's not true, but what are some of the Republican ideas that are out there that maybe he's not been willing to hear?
Well, we think health care that's based on your choice and on freedom is a pretty good idea. And right now, the president's plan has everything to do with government having the choice and government having the freedom. So first of all, we think that we shouldn't let an insurance company have a monopoly. And so there's every state almost has a wall built around it, and only the policies that work in that state are allowed. We think every American should be able to buy any policy they want anywhere in the United States with no minimum federal requirement. If you're a single guy, you shouldn't be forced to pay for birth control pills. You shouldn't have to pay for children's dental plan if you don't have children. So we think you should buy any health policy anywhere you want in America with no minimum federal mandates. And we also think it would be a great idea. There's a lot of Christian organizations, a lot of schools, a lot of religious groups that would like to set up free health clinics. A lot of doctors would be willing to give time. Nurses would be willing to give time. Pharmaceutical companies would give free drugs, free medical devices. There's a lot of places that would like to do that, and we'd like to give them a liability shield so that they wouldn't have lawsuits filed against them. So people could go and get free care, truly free care, reduced care, but there'd be a liability shield, because we can never, ever forget the poor. And that's one way for us to reach out a helping hand to the poor.
I'm glad you mentioned about the poor, because sometimes Republicans are accused of not caring at all about people who are poor. And I've not seen that. I've not experienced that. I think people care, but they just don't want the poor to end up being the norm. So we thank you very much for being here. What a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Well, keep sending your comments and your questions on Obamacare. I'm going to get to them soon. But first, he made his job pitch here just last week. Remember? We want to know, has the unemployed graduate student with a master's degree gotten any offers? Well, we're going to talk to Mike Penn, that remarkable young man who was with us last week. He's with us again. We'll be right back.